that in just a moment.
It's live streaming. I'm gonna, oh, I can't edit your post. Oh, that's not, I don't see. Yeah, there we go. Did you put it, do you want to put a caption on it?
You don't have to. It should be on the video itself.
We absolutely should. People aren't going to know what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the part I was freaking out about, the content for advertising to other people. That was where I was like, I don't know. Don't forget to record if we're supposed to.
Okay, I think we've got it set up. Okay. Let me get the invite link with it so we can try to get people on here.
That's, yeah. I used to go live on my own, and if I had noticed, I'd have like 3 times at least the people.
Yeah, there's Maria. She's on there. Maria, we'll get started here in just a moment. I know there's some people that was wanting to join, and we're trying to make sure everybody's able to get on that needs to, that wants to. Okay, and he's got the video posted on Serious Joy.
Awesome.
Okay, well, I don't know if anybody's going to be joining us, but I guess we'll just kind of go over it ourselves. They're watching. There's several watching in the club.
Are you in the club one? Do you want me to
Yes.
monitor both of the Facebook groups or one of them?
If you just want to do one, I'll do the other. I'll try to keep an eye on the Human Design and Gene Keys study group.
Perfect.
And we'll go from there. Hi,
Awesome.
Cassandra. All right, and Michelle is multitasking. That is completely okay. All right, let me get this pulled up. I think we're going to get started. All right. I said I was going to pull it up.
I'm unable to
tabs
see
I
it
have
in
open right
Serious
now.
Joy
This is
Club.
like,
I'm unable to find the video in the Serious Joy Club.
oh,
Is it posted to the group or is it in a?
It might not be pinned. Let me see if I can pin it. Y'all just bear with us for a moment as we work out some of these
Work out the
kinks.
kinks.
We are new at this. Okay, we're going to mark it as an announcement. It should pull it right to the top. Hopefully.
I see one less announcement. That's odd.
Yeah, we have the link to join in the underneath the schedule. So if you guys want to join
I'll post
in
it
on
again
Zoom,
in the. I'll post it again, the link from your post. Oh, I can't
okay,
access it.
that'll work. And while
I
you're doing
can't
that, I'm
access.
going to. Yeah, this live stuff is not. There we go.
No. And we'll be right with you guys.
Yes.
Just getting the last of it set up.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. 8 minutes to get set up is not that bad. We'll get faster at it. Okay. All right. Let me get my screen share going. We are going to go over the intro to human design. And I've got a little PDF here that I'm going to be using that Cassandra made. And I think is absolutely wonderful. So that's going to be what we're kind of going over. And, all right. Okay, we got the Introduction to Human Design and the Energy Centers. This is by Cassandra Deanne. Okay, and what will be covered is what is human design. She's going to have a little bit of information about her story there as well. But I will also be including this into the group. So anyone who wants to go over the actual PDF themselves, you're welcome to do that. So I'm just going to kind of go over, you can, hopefully everybody's got their chart pulled up. There's several places in the group where you can click on links to find your chart. Okay, and the formal definition of human design is that human design is a synthesis of modern and ancient science, such as the Chinese I Ching, astrology, Hindu chakras, and the Kabbalah tree of life, along with more modern science, such as quantum mechanics, astronomy, genetics, and biochemistry. The synthesis created a body graph, which is, if everyone's got their chart pulled, it's a little figure that has all these squares and triangles, and it looks like a little body there. Okay, so the synthesis creates a body graph, which allows you to experiment with your evolving consciousness and nature. Now, her personal definition of human design is the person you are, a form of blueprint, your electromagnetic field, your aura. Human design as it's an empowerment, encouragement, basically the best life cheerleader possible. Okay. And if you want to check out Cassandra's story, it's a PDF will be posted in the group, and you're welcome to check that out. She's got a wonderful little PDF here. And again, how to get your free chart. If you don't have your chart pulled up, you can go to Cassandra's website, and it is at www.cassandradeanne.com/free human design chart. And I got the link there for a moment. Okay, so, well, that was wonderful. All right, let me see, work out this kink. It closed out on me. There we go. We're still good. All right. So if you look here, this is actually what the your chart looks like. A lot of minor differences between charts if you go to other sites and pull your chart. Cassandra's chart, she has the unconscious or the design in the pink, and then she has the personality or the conscious design in the little orange there. So the pink side of the chart is the astrology. It's 3 months prior to your birth, and it is the subconscious. And then you have the tan or orange side, and it's according to your time of birth in astrology. And this is your conscious part. This is the parts that you are aware of and that you're very familiar with, as versus the design, which is all in your subconscious. It's kind of basically you do things without even being aware of it. Your consciousness was formed before you were actually born, and that's where this design comes in. So you'll notice on there you have the planets that are listed, and those are according to your actual birth, and the design is like 88 days prior or 3 months prior to your birth. So it's going to be a little bit different. They do vary. Okay, and then we're going to go on down just a little bit. You'll notice there's these little centers here, and there's channels and these circles, and we'll get into that probably a little bit later on. We're just kind of covering the basics right now. Okay, yeah, here, she's got some of that in here. Okay, so she's got the astrology symbols, the 2 gates. When they meet, it's a channel. So there's a gate here. It's like gate 64 and gate 42, it looks like. I could be wrong. But these two black circles, those are gates. And then you look at this line filled in, that's called a channel right there. And some of them are filled in, some of them won't be filled in. That's going to vary for each chart. So that's an individual thing that you're going to be looking at there. And then you have these centers here. We got some triangles, we have some squares. Now, the center that's not filled in is considered open. And then the ones that have color to them, now this can vary again from where you get your chart. It could be blue, it could be yellow. They are different colors depending on where you get your chart from. But the ones that are colored in, those are called defined in human design. Let me back up just a moment. All right. Okay, so the gate here, okay, as I mentioned, these little circles here are called gates. And that's where the astrology is connected. So if you look, you scroll back up here a moment. So if you look here, her sun, she's got at 54.4. So 54, yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm not familiar still with where the channels or the gates are located. I will sit here and
The
I'm like,
54 is located down in the root center.
okay,
It's
it's in
the
the root.
channel that's created from the root to the spleen.
Okay, I see that. So it's actually connecting to channel 32, it looks like, or gate 32 to this channel. Okay. All right. Then we're going to go into the energy centers. So here we have the energy centers. It's very similar to the chakra system that most people are aware of. You have the head, the Anya throat, G center, heart, solar plexus, sacral, spleen, and the root center, which is right there. So the only real differences between this and the chakra system is you'll notice that the G center and the heart are actually two separate pieces, as the regular chakra, it has the heart center where the G is. So here it has the G center is actually your love, identity, and direction in life comes from that G center. As your heart center in this is actually, it's where your willpower, your self-worth, and how you interact with the material world. So that's pretty much the difference there. And then it has the solar plexus, if you notice, is like, it actually split into two. Then you've got your spleen, and then you have the solar plexus. Okay, now the solar plexus is where we have our emotions, our desires, our passion. And the spleen is where we have a lot of our survival instincts, the intuition, and fear is also held in the spleen. So those two have actually split apart what used to be the solar plexus into these two pieces. And then we have the sacral, which is our life force, our sexuality, and then on down to the root, which is where we have our adrenaline, our drive, our pressure, and where a lot of our worry comes from. So a lot of people that have some of these defined and some undefined. But that's how the centers are actually divided. Okay.
May I add a little something up there, Stephanie?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Hi
guys, I'm Christina. So these energy centers from the head down, the head, the ajna, the throat, the G center, the heart to the side, the solar plexus, sacral, root, and spleen. If you have them defined or open in your chart, is going to flavor the way you see the world. And the keynotes that you see here for the head center, for example, inspiration, mental pressure, and questions. If you have this open in your chart, you are receptive and empathic and able to pick up on that from other people. If you have an aspect here open or undefined, undefined is when there's a gate activation and the center's white. Open is when it's completely open. There's nothing else there. Stephanie, the chart just went away.
Okay.
You have you have the you have the openness, so the receptivity. When people talk about being empathic, for example, in the generic sense, each of these centers has their own like tinted glasses that will allow you to see the world differently. The two pressure centers, I'm throwing a little extra in. The two pressure centers are the head and the ajna. If you have one or both of these open, they're known as the pressure centers. You may be being pressured with other people's questions. You could be pressured with the want to do faster or slower or be free of pressure from the root. There are four energy centers. The heart center is an energy center. The sacral is an energy center. The solar plex is an energy center, and the root is an energy center. I'm going to stop there because I could probably keep going, and she might have some of this in the chart. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, so we're gonna go on down just a bit. Yeah, she's also got the gift, potential, and shadow listed for each of the centers. And the head she's got listed as consistent ability to receive inner inspiration, ideas, and reflect on truths. They can be a regular source of inspiring others, capable of empowering. Now, there is a shadow side to every one of the centers that you'll work through. You'll hear a lot about shadows as we get deeper into human design as well as gene keys. The shadow consists of like mental pressure to answer questions, the challenge in expressing internal inspiration. Those may struggle with anxiety and self-doubt. Now, all that's going to come from that head center. And then we have the ajna, which consists of source of mental energy that can inspire and pressure others to think. And the shadow of that is you may struggle with a fixed way of thinking, challenged with being closed-minded or stubborn. So, and this doesn't mean that if you look at having some issues with the shadow, that doesn't mean that you're not an enlightened being. When you are overcoming and looking at yourself in that shadow, it's to recognize it within yourself so you can elevate it and work your way out and love yourself even more and elevate that into that gift potential. Okay, and going on to the throat. The gift potential is a fixed, consistent source of vocal expression, the potential to be a good speaker. Now, the shadow side of the throat center, you may have challenges with being impulsive or have the tendency to talk too much. Sometimes I struggle with this. I kind of go both ways. I will shut down occasionally, and there's times that I just ramble and ramble and ramble. So I am still working with my shadow on the throat, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just recognizing it, being aware of it so you can work with it. Okay.
May I share another thing, Stephanie?
Yes.
You okay if I tack on something, maybe?
Just chime on in if you want.
As Stephanie said, the shadow isn't something to fear. In the gene key system, there are 3 aspects of each key. I don't know if it'll get there in the slides, but each of these gate activations in human design have a corresponding gene key, which correlates to the I Ching hexagrams, as last week we talked about. The shadow is designed to let you see where you're acting out of shadow state, where you're acting out of fear. And these aspects in the shadow go for each the head, the ajna, and the throat. The head with the pressure center, the ajna with a certainty, the struggle to find a way of thinking, and the throat center, speaking, finding your voice. I have a defined throat and I still talk too much. And I really just want to reiterate that, as she said, the shadow and the gift potential comes in when you accept and integrate your shadow, when you find the gift in the shadow. And it's a very beautiful aspect.
It really is. Yeah, I have a defined throat center as well. So, yeah.
Did not know that. Did not realize that. Oh, manifesting generator, of course.
Yeah. Okay, going on to the G center. The potential gift of the G center is a clear sense of self, and you can know your direction in life, a more fixed, reliable way of identifying who you are. As some of the shadow side of that G center, you may experience resistance if there are too aggressive, that you're too aggressive to lead. You may struggle with expecting others to follow you. So that's some of the shadow with the G center. Then we have the heart center. The potential gift for it is a consistent source of willpower, a natural sense of self-value, the gift of motivating others into action. As the shadow side of that, you may get carried away and appear too forceful. Challenges with being too competitive that may come in. So yeah, those two are, I think, some of the most common ones that people deal with from what I've seen as I've worked with people and stuff. The heart center is, it's, well, I should say ego, because that's where a lot of this is coming in from. And some people do refer to the heart center as the ego center. But again, the ego is the really controversial topic among light workers. Some people say, oh, the ego is bad, the ego is bad. Not exactly. It's how you work with your ego and how you use that energy. If you're aware of it, and you are able to say, well, wait a minute, and actually focus on the gift potential of that center as far as and try to move away from that shadow side. Let the heart center itself, or the ego center, it's there to motivate you. It's what drives you. It's what gets you going. Where's your passion? When you put your heart into something, it's the same thing as your ego, is your passion and your drive to accomplish things. So, I ask you, meditate on the ego center, heart center, whatever you may call it. And just be aware, because that's something that with human design, it's part of you. And, learn about it and be able to embrace those aspects of yourself. Okay, going on to the sacral. The gift side of the sacral is consistent access to impressive life force, the potential for great endurance and getting things done. And the shadow side is allowing others to take advantage of your energy. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You can be impatient. Now, a lot of people, when they work with the shadow on the sacral, they tend to be the people pleasers. And people just kind of walk all over them, and they don't stand up for themselves. And this is part of that shadow of your sacral. Again, it's being aware of it and being able to work into and find those gifts within you. So you're moving from one energy and turning it embracing that gift that the sacral does have to offer. Okay, and then we're going on to the solar plexus. Okay, the gift is to access to a deep and in-depth emotional range. You may influence the emotional environment around you, and you'll have a unique emotional wave. The shadow side to this, you may make decisions or struggle to make decisions, until you understand your unique emotional wave. You may try to, repress your emotions. I'm an Aquarius, okay? We are notorious for this. It's like, I don't want to feel that. I'm just going to put that over there, and we tend to detach. And that's part of that shadow side of the solar plexus. We don't want to express our emotions. We just kind of want to, let me get away from that, We're more in our head than our solar plexus. But once those emotions get going, it's a high wave. And sometimes, as an Aquarius, we don't know, how to deal with that, because the waves are so intense. They feel so deeply. And a lot of people, I think Aquariuses especially are misrepresented by people saying, they're emotionless, because that's not the case, because we're extremely, extremely emotional. We just don't like to express it. So we express it to a few. It's in our small circle. But again, it's working with that shadow and elevating it to where you're using the gift of the solar plexus. Okay, so now we're going into the spleen. The gift of the spleen is reliable access to your intuition in the moment, consistent way of processing your fears. Not listening to your inner self or intuition is going to be from the shadow side. You may be less likely to notice changes to the immune system. You may get stuck in fears. Now, I know a lot of people, astrologically speaking, not everybody knows astrology, and that's okay. But people with, certain placements of Black Moon Lilith in their chart, they deal with fear on a constant. And you'll notice, that spleen center, it's either, a lot of times you're looking at the shadow of that. So you can kind of correlate it with Black Moon Lilith as far as those fears on that shadow side. So yeah. And then when you actually bring into the gift of that, you're accessing your intuition in the moment. And, that's, it's going to help you so much more than just having your fears. Just, ground yourself in the moment, and then your intuition will come through and it'll slowly start processing those fears, and you'll get through those fears. So that's actually the really big gift of the spleen, is you'll be able to process those fears and what holds you back, and then you'll be able to move forward. So a lot of people get hung up with the energy of the spleen as well. Okay, so then we're going on to the root center, which is a consistent access to adrenaline, the potential for higher tolerance of pressure and stress in moments of chaos, comfortable with a to-do list. Now, those are the gifts of the root. And the shadow side of that is expecting others to operate as you do under pressure. Risk of burnout if not in alignment with their own energy. So a lot of times you'll notice that there's like manifestors for one. We haven't even got into the types yet, but manifestors for one, they tend to operate and tend to move very quickly. And sometimes they don't understand, why aren't you going as fast as I am? Why can't you do that? Why don't you just jump up and do it? But the thing is, as we learn later, is people don't operate the same. Every type moves in different ways. But that's also a side of that shadow that needs to be, comfortable with the to-do list, working basically, under pressure, but to work through that, to access that adrenaline consistently. Because a lot of times manifestors, they kind of go really fast, so they just go bloop, and their energy just drops. I'm a manifesting generator, so this happens, pretty frequently for me. As I go 100 miles an hour, then bloop, that's it. Have to rest. But yeah, and that's part of the being able to access that consistently. So, all right, we're going to go on to the undefined energy centers, because those were the defined. Okay.
Do you want me to take these, or do you want to grab them?
Oh,
I'm
I
happy
will
to
let
if
you
you
take it.
want.
I need a drink of
Okay.
water.
Okay.
Okay.
So the head center, the gift potential is a flexible and open mind. The potential to be a great guide to others, may receive ideas and inspiration from many external sources. So this is the gift potential of the open head center. When you have this open, you're able to pick up on others, and these are the gifts that you have to offer. You can make them about you and about yourself, which is where the shadow comes in, not realizing that these are other people's attributes you're picking up on. Challenges with getting lost in the mental pressure and thoughts of others, pressure to answer everyone else's questions. This is a huge aspect for many of us. The heart center and the head center have least gate activations. The head center has 3 gate activations and the heart has 4. They're the 2 least defined centers in a body graph. The ajna center, for the undefined ajna center, the potential for a fluid and adaptable thought process, potential to be comfortable in uncertainty. People with an undefined ajna, open ajna, they have the gift to adapt and be comfortable in uncertainty. Defined ajna people really do have the ability to be certain. It doesn't mean they're always certain. It doesn't mean when they're certain, they're actually certain. But with an open ajna, you are taking in so much information and are able to teach others with that, as well as go with the flow. If you're unable to do this, the shadow may come in, and that would be an area you'd want to look at for growth, feeling a pressure to be certain about things, a fear of not appearing intellectual, anxiety of not knowing. I will say I know quite a few people with an open ajna center, and if you happen to have an open ajna, really watch for the voice of I know, and to be certain. That's a huge, huge fear, that you have to be certain, and the anxiety of not knowing, when being able to be in the unknown can be a huge blessing. In flow state, the unknown is where you want to be alongside the known. The throat center is responsible for manifestation in human design body graph. If it's defined, you're either a manifesting generator or a generator. You can be a projector with throat definition, but you would have no energy centers. The gift potential for an undefined throat center is flexible self-expression. Have grace for yourself. You may be good at advocating to speak on others' causes. You can pick up what they're wanting to say with an open throat center. Comfortable with there being silence. You have the ability to be comfortable with their silence when you're in the gift, which is different in the shadow. Feeling a pressure to be heard. Are you being heard? Can people hear you? Do you have a voice? Excessive talk that may seem like babble. You can talk quite a bit. It may come across to you that you're not being heard, but to others that you're just talking a lot. Spending lots of mental energy on deciding what to say. That can go along with the ajna, that can go along with many of the other centers. All of the centers in the human design body graph that we spoke about below the throat will move upwards pressure-wise. And from the head and the ajna to the throat, they move down. So the throat center is the expression of our life and creative energy as we speak it into being. And all human design types can manifest. It's in your strategy and authority that show what you can, how you manifest in response into different authorities. An undefined G center. The G center is the self. It is the center of the self. If you have an open and undefined G center, you are a chameleon. You can wear many different coats, and like the fifth line, which I'm not going to go into, the open G center can be projected upon, and people may see what they want to see in you. One really important also note is that the G center, if you have it undefined, your environment defines your life to a degree. If you have an undefined or open G center, if your house is wrong, if your child has an open G center and they're having huge issues, it could be a room or house issue. If your home or your workplace are not actually in alignment with who and what you are and what you need, you'll have huge health issues, huge emotional, mental, physical issues. That's just something to look for. So the gift potential of an undefined G center is the potential gift of being adaptable, able to play many roles, and you're sensitive to your environment, very sensitive. Ability to relate to others and situations. You'll have the ability to take in who others are, what they're going through in a way that somebody with a defined G center cannot. For the shadow, for your undefined G center, challenges with codependency and people pleasing, fear of not knowing who you are, and feeling unworthy of love from others. That is something I think we all struggle with, and it could be heightened by an open G center or an undefined G center. You very much so might try to be someone else or latch on to someone else to have them, in the people pleasing aspect, show you who you are, make you feel like you are, reassure you about who you are. The undefined heart center has the potential gift of recognizing what is of value. I'm someone with a defined heart center. I don't have the receptivity to measure worth and value the way somebody with an open open heart center would. You have the ability to pick up on who is acting out of integrity. The heart center is it's a tribal center. It's a connective family aspect. It's something that binds us in the glue. It is also, as Stephanie said, known as the ego center at Human Design. And there are clashing aspects of how people speak to the ego center or the heart center. I can say myself, it's been a struggle with the shadow and the gift frequencies with my defined heart center, that I don't feel worthy and don't feel valued, and then struggle with knowing the ego, the id, and the I, which is a different realm of education. So the ability to pick up on who is acting out of integrity, that is a gift for you if you have this open, undefined. The shadow would be challenges with striving to prove yourself. There are two centers that have huge amounts of influence over the entire human population. They all do. The sacral, which I'll go over in just one moment, and the heart center. The sacral is the most powerful center energetically in a body graph. I have an open sacral, for example, and the ego center or sacral of someone else the sacral can overpower me from someone else. If you're somebody who has an open heart center, an open ego center, you very much so spend your entire life trying to prove your worth, as I would try to avoid confrontation with an open solar plex. So the heart center, the challenges with striving to prove yourself is very deep, and that shadow will probably be something as powerful as the heart center is that you may be tackling with for your entire life. It's your greatest teacher. That's one of the beautiful things about the shadow to the gift frequencies in your centers, is that the shadow enables you to get to the gift, and it never goes away. You constantly learn from it to harness it or teach others about it with an undefined heart. Challenges to striving to prove yourself, and they have troubles with feeling inadequate and seeing your worth. The sacral center is also an energy center. Its gift potential is the potential to teach others how to relax, possibly gained wisdom on most effective use of energy. So the sacral center is the center that knows when enough is enough. When it's undefined, we tend to not know when enough is enough. So you have the ability to teach others to be receptive to when somebody has hit a limit point. If you have an open and undefined sacral, to get there, you yourself have to be able to rest and not go off the buzz of the sacral center. The wisdom that comes into your sacral center is huge. There's so much to learn there. You really have the ability to not only measure what other people's energies are like, what they're going through, but you also have the ability to take in and use it on your own for yourself. And that can come in with the shadow frequency. You can actually struggle a lot with that, with using other people's energy. So challenges for the shadow are with striving to prove yourself. I'm the wrong one. Feeling pressure to keep up, overcommitting, and difficulty saying no. Fear you are not doing enough. This is huge in the shadow frequency, recognizing that really you go, 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 go. Generators, if you're a generator, you have the sacral center defined. You may have the solar plex defined as well. That makes you an emotional authority generator. If your sacral is defined, you are one of the two. As Stephanie mentioned about manifestors, I am a manifester and she is a manifesting generator. I have noticed burnout for manifesting generators as well as generators is huge. A healthy, defined sacral being has the ability to go like an oxen with a wagon behind them, usually the generator. And that oxen can go across the entire United States as we did back in the day and carry that wagon. A generator is in the long haul, so the pace needs to really be acceptable for them, and they can take on tasks and burdens that manifestors, projectors, reflectors, and manifesting generators as well may not be able to. If you're a manifesting generator and you have the sacral defined, you have the ability to cut corners as a manifesting generator. So you go much quicker than a generator can when you're able to be centered. And the pressure is still on, but it's not from the sacral center. So with an undefined sacral, feeling pressure to keep up, overcommitting and difficulty and saying no, fear you're not doing enough. If you have an undefined sacral, I want to say it again, remember it's okay to rest. The solar plex is also known as the emotional center. If you have this defined in your human design chart, it is your authority. It is, because it is the most powerful, it then, not because, but as it is the most powerful, it is the one that comes in and becomes your authority. The gift of the undefined solar plex is a tendency toward being calm and collected. You can really, really have the ability to measure when to be calm and collected. And you can see when somebody with a defined solar plex, you can feel if they're upset, usually before they know. You can feel the shift in their energy wave. And if you're in alignment and able to overcome the shadow, you're able to be sensitive to the emotional health of others, as well as feeling an inner peace. If you have an undefined solar plex or sacral, sleeping like alone to a degree can be very, very powerful. And releasing this, if you don't have a place you can sleep alone, staying with a friend who has a couch or something you can, even for one night, if you're going through something serious, can really be beneficial. The shadow of the solar plexus may do anything to avoid confrontation. Like, I want to say that again. You will do anything to avoid confrontation, not just with others, but with yourself. Feeling overwhelmed by the emotions of others. It is a very huge shadow for us to overcome this. I think both people with defined and undefined would say they have this. Sometimes those with the defined solar plex can overwhelm intentionally if you've been through abuse. Those with an open solar plex, it's a coping skill for those of us with defined solar plexus. It can be in the shadow frequency, as Stephanie mentioned, the shadow frequency above. So making sure that you're not taking on others' emotions in that open solar plex, making sure you're still giving yourself time to regulate the emotional center, the solar plex. Now, emotions come from other areas in the chart center wise, but this is the primary generator of emotions in the chart, of feelings. And so recognizing if you have this open or undefined, you need to give yourself love and time, and to recognize what feelings are yours and what feelings may be someone else's is huge. The splenic center, if this is your authority in your chart, if you have splenic authority, this is the quietest of all authorities. I wouldn't say it's the most difficult. I'd say mental projectors have the most outer authority would be the most difficult. I am a splenic being, and hearing your intuitive punches is very, very difficult. They only come once, and they do not repeat themselves. And if you miss them, the only things that's going to remind you of it is your mind, it's your thoughts, and it may be telling you things that are not true or are true. So the gift potential is to be very intuitive to what is out of balance with the immune system. If you have an open or undefined spleen, holistic health work is definitely for you. It is something that you have a sensitivity to those of us with defined spleens. You have the ability to tap into not only energy, but into what's going in our bodies. I don't know why the word bacteria comes to mind, but you do have the ability to see that aspect in those of us with defined spleens and in the world. So you know intuitively what's out of balance. The splenic center, as Stephanie said, is about fear. So recognizing if you have an undefined splenic center, like the shadow side, you will be afraid. You may be, this is a center that can cause codependency from childhood. If you don't feel good about yourself, if you have issues with the immune system, or with your mom comes in and she has a defined spleen and then she leaves, you may feel scared and fearful because she's certain. And if somebody with an undefined splenic center is around somebody with a defined spleen that is fearful or scared, that can also cause, you can feel that as an undefined splenic person, and that can cause fear for you as well. The shadow for you is that you may have challenges with holding on to others for a sense of security, to know you're okay, to feel okay. And you may get stuck in the obsessing over fears. That is absolutely something to look at. It again, it's not a problem unless you're letting it take you over. And the way to overcome that is to examine that shadow, is to sit with it for a minute and really allow yourself to see where you don't feel safe, why you don't feel safe, and then look at things in your world to make sure you are safe, if they're really legitimate fear of safety, or if it's something you're feeling internally that is not reflected in your outer reality. The root center is the last one. I'll hand it back over to you, Stephanie. The root center is a pressure center. It's As Stephanie mentioned, the adrenaline can come up. The gift is the ability to withdraw into stillness. As somebody with an open route, I will tell you, I have not mastered this gift, and I have been at it a long time. You have the ability to withdraw into stillness and release the pressure and not attach to it. So non-attachment. Potential to feel comfortable with not pushing, to be productive. The gift you have here is measuring what pace it is. People with the defined route will have a set pace. If you have an open, undefined route, you won't. You can just take a rest. You may just need to stop what you're doing, and be able to feel comfortable with that. When you get to the point you're comfortable with not doing, with not acting, with if just taking a break, you really are in the gift frequency. The shadow aspect is that you may struggle with feeling hyper under the energy of someone with a defined route. If you have any concerns about ADD for yourself, or you just go, and you need to be free of pressure, you need to get that task done for work so you can sleep, you need to do this so you can do something else and get that done. That's a huge aspect of the open root center. Feeling hyper with the energy of someone with a defined route and the pressure to operate like others. You do not have a set pace. You do not need to operate like others. And harnessing all of those shadow aspects will get you to the gift frequency, looking and sitting with them. Back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Christina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going into what is an energy type. So a lot of you on the group have heard us, mentioning we're manifesting generators, or we're a manifester, or a projector, and this is referring to your type of energy. And we're going to go into a little bit more here. Okay, when we discuss your energy type, it's important to understand that we are talking about your general aura. This has nothing to do with the psychological or personality typing. You can meet, this is basically your general aura. Okay, so you can meet 5 people with the same energy type who still be 5 unique individuals. When we talk about your energy type, we are looking into the effects of your electromagnetic aura in the collective. All things have energy, and your aura or energy type is how you connect or interact with the experience of others in your life. As we go deeper, we will discuss the 5 different energy types in human design. Okay, looks like it just went right on into strategy there. Okay.
Does it look like we're going to go over? Maybe
well,
if we do, I'm happy to go over them with you.
If you want to go ahead and go over the types,
No.
then we'll go.
Yeah, I'm happy to do the types. Do you want to do what is your strategy, or do you want me to go over without? Is there a slide for strategy for the aura types? No, I'll go.
There.
There is. Perfect. I'll go over
Yeah.
that if you want to do strategy and authority real quick.
Okay, we'll do strategy real quick. I'll back up here. All right. Well, it doesn't go into detail, just talks about the strategy. Okay. Well, when we talk about strategy in human design, we're talking about the unique tool that each energy type has that help us move through life with the ease and flow. Like some people, if you've already pulled your chart, you'll see the strategy is basically like an emotional strategy. And then we have, there's several of them, and I cannot even off the top of my head think of all of them. We'll probably, hopefully get into that in a later slide. But basically the strategy is where and how your energy type would move in a general basis. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm wondering if there's,
If there's not, I can talk more about it in a minute.
Okay.
I know it's very key.
Yeah. I'm gonna look down here.
Yeah.
Oh,
going over strategy right there. Cool.
Yeah. So if you want to get into, we'll go one at a time. If you want to do the generator.
Yeah, if you want to go up.
Okay,
if you want to go up one more slide, and I can.
Yeah.
So there are 4 different aura types. The generator and the manifesting generator are both considered generators. They're different, but there are four categories. You have the generator and the manifesting generator. Then you have the manifester, the projector, and the reflector. Generator, manifesting generator, and manifestors are all energy types. Projectors and reflectors are non-energy types, and we'll probably get into that in a little bit. So those are the different types. Do you want me to start with generator?
Sure.
So the generators make up about 36% of the population. A generator is someone who has their sacral center defined. They have a fixed and dependable amount of energy that is produced by their sacral center. This means that they can use sustainable energy to accomplish great things. There are people who are in the thick of action. They are people who are in the thick of action. When they do things that they love, they have the abundance of energy to get things done. When they follow their design, in return, the open and enveloping aura draws people into them. Without having to do anything, others can benefit from being in their presence, leaving them feeling encouraged, empowered, and motivated. When generators find the thing that they love, they have the potential to achieve mastery in their chosen area of interest. Generator strategy. Their strategy is to wait to respond. This is the key for all people. The strategy and the authority are two separate aspects. Your strategy can be found in your body graph. It can be different for generators based on which centers are defined, such as here in this picture, you have the you have the sacral center defined. You can be an emotional authority generator. Strategy-wise, though, there's that's for authority. Strategy-wise, there's only one strategy for each type. The generator strategy is wait to respond. The strategy for generator is wait to respond. This means instead of pushing forward and initiating, to take a calmer approach and trust in the timing. Allow things to cross your path to respond to, and then respond. Say yes to things that excite you and no to the things that do not. This can also be very identified as you start to hear your inner authority as a gut punch. It is often something that we as people that are generators do not express and it is something that is really, once you feel that yes and that no that way, you really have a sense of what your body is saying. It can often conflict with what you think. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. Instead, taking a moment to nourish yourself so that when the time comes, you have a full cup to share. Generators can never do nothing. Generators generate the life force that is the planet, the energy of the planet, the life force for it, like Mother Nature. They're beautiful in that, and their strategy of wait to respond, all types manifest. Generators manifest in response. They're not designed to just initiate from nothing. They have to wait to have something to respond to. That can be your environment, your friends, your phone, your ideas. There are so many things. You can't do nothing. You won't be able to as a generator, and you shouldn't expect yourself to, but do give yourself time to sit and wait. If you sat still and did nothing for a week straight, if you just allowed yourself to sit, that is a huge, huge way to see what's going to come to you to respond to. Those that you may not be in contact with may contact you. New opportunities may appear. You are a magnet and draw that in.
And basically their aura pulls in opportunities to them. It's a very pulling aura. So there are a lot of people that you think, oh, well, they're just so lucky. This happens for them and that happens to them, and opportunity after opportunity. Those are generally generators that you see that have all these things that are pulling towards them. So, yeah. Okay. And was there anything else on generator you wanted to add, Christina?
No.
Okay. So we'll go on to manifesting generator. Okay. Manifesting generators, or ManGen or MG, some people call them, make up about 32% of the population. Like generators, they have a defined sacral center, giving them a fixed and reliable energy source. They also have a motor to throat connection from the sacral. Now, this means the connection to the throat from the root, sacral, heart, or solar plexus centers. So basically you're looking at, there's a direct connection from one of the motors into the throat. Okay, so we're going into, these are like the Energizer bunnies. They have the gift of frequency, efficiency, and tend to do things very, very quickly. They are the express builders. They are multi-passionate and do not have a linear path. While the generator finds a passion and seeks mastery, the manifesting generator gathers a variety of different skills that come together later in life like a puzzle. I am a manifesting generator, so I can, I can actually confirm this. That's, you start many different projects, and you'll be into one subject one day, and then a couple of weeks later, oh, you're into this other. But later on in life, they fit together for basically, your life purpose, what you're here to really do. A lot of the manifesting generators don't get that until later in life. They're like, what am I supposed to do? A lot of people that are manifesting generators, that's where they're at for a long period. They don't know what they're supposed to do because they have so many different interests and they go into so many different directions that they're just like, what am I doing? Give them time. They'll get to them. It's usually later in life, but usually when they come out and they find when everything fits together like a little puzzle, and it's like that aha moment, everything comes together, and they are so skilled in a variety of different subjects. So yeah, so they're a little bit different than the generators in that aspect. Okay, so the strategy for the manifesting generator is wait to respond plus informing. Like the generators, the strategy for the manifesting generator is to wait to respond. This means instead of pushing forward and initiating, take a calmer approach and trust in timing. Think of everything as a magnetic exchange. Fill your cup with the things that light you up and clear the things that no longer serve you. The manifesting generator has an additional step, which is to inform. This means letting those affected by your decisions know what you're doing. It's not asking for permission, but to inform is to ease the flow. If a manifesting generator was to say, I'll take this as an example here. When I created this group, it was literally overnight. Like someone in the, someone mentioned it in the Serious Joy Club. Oh, we should have a study group, and oh, we need a page for this. And it was like instant, boom, done. And I told Christopher Whitaker, while I was just like, I'm doing this, and he was like, okay. So that's what that means to inform. I wasn't asking permission, but I was informing him, and that's what my strategy is to do. Is well, wait to respond. I got it pulled in, kind of like the generator does. You get these like things coming towards you. Okay. So then I informed and then move. So that's what it means really to wait, to respond and inform. So we're going on to the next one, which should be manifester. You want to take this one, Christina?
Yeah.
All
The
right.
manifestor is a rare energy type, making up only about 9% of the population. These innovators are here with the strong potential to make an impact. In history, these were people who questioned authority and manifested change in the world. They were often the rulers and significantly shaped the world as we know it today. Their closed and repelling aura pushes others out of their way and clears the path to change. The manifestor has the throat center defined, along with any of the other centers. However, they do not have the sacral center defined. This means that they have a fixed, dependable voice that is used as an expression and manifestation. Instead of a dependable, steady energy, they have a burst of energy in moments to move forward and get things done. The manifestor tends to be fiercely independent and loves working alone. I will touch on a couple things there as well. The manifestor, where was it? The manifestor's closed and repelling aura is something that, especially if you have manifestor children, to be aware of. It is something that I would say only a projector can get into, and the projector cannot always access inside of a manifestor's aura. If you're a manifester, recognizing this is something hugely eye-opening for you, that you repel things when your aura comes up against them. This is another reason why informing is so important. And in the past, and when it speaks to manifestors being people who really significantly shape the world, recognizing that one of the things that I will say as a manifestor is recognizing that we all have flaws, and there is something in human design called type envy that you may want to be a manifestor. I really want to touch on that. None of the design types just initiate out of nothing, respond out of nothing. A manifestor does have to wait for their inner authority. A manifestor initiating from their thoughts, beliefs, ideas that are what human design calls the not self and Gene Keys calls the shadow self. If you initiate from that place, you are actually making a ball roll on things that can harm yourself and others, because manifestors are door openers for others. We initiate and inform, and then the doors open and others walk through it. You're not responsible for those that walk through the door, but it can impact a lot of people if they join you in a way on something or a project or an idea that wasn't actually correct for you to initiate, that wasn't from your purpose. So the manifestor strategy is to inform. The strategy for the manifestor, this is not about asking permission. Just like the manifesting generator, informing isn't about asking permission, and it is actually something that blows codependency out of the water. It's been amazing as a manifestor, and I assume for Stephanie as well. When you inform, you are not asking, you are not telling, you are informing, and other people may feel as if you didn't ask them and be offended that you didn't ask them. It is a societal norm to be asked, not to be informed. So recognizing as you start to transition, you as a manifestor to the gift that you are, your shadow self may actually prefer asking questions, especially with the shadow aspects of the centers that you may have. You may not be used to informing, and it may light people up in positive ways as well if you start informing. It gives others the choice to get out of your way or join you or observe. And that's beautiful for I think the whole world. And anyone can actually inform. Any type can practice informing. It is not every type strategy. So depending on the decisions, depending on the conditioning growing up, the manifestor can have a tendency to be secretive, as their insights may have been dismissed earlier in life. This is huge for manifestors. Most manifestors will not tell you or inform you. They will hide it, they will keep it secret, and they will safeguard it so that you don't know it. Informing offers the path of least resistance. As a manifestor, there's two different paths a manifestor generally will take. It is not informing for safety or over informing for safety. So giving your information away, giving that inner authority to others so that you're safe, or hiding it. So there is the opposite spectrum of that as well. Informing offers the path of least resistance. When you come to a decision or call to action, communicate it with those of you who are affected by your decisions. One of the things that you can do as a manifestor is to write an impact list. This is one of the things I did when I first started with human design. Writing down all the people you impact. And as you start that, you may come to see that you could fill pages in a book. You may come to see that you can only do a couple of people, depending on how you have been informing in your life. But it's really beautiful to see who you impact and how, and that allows you to have the ability to narrow it down. So who you're going to impact, who you're going to inform. And there should be a core few people that may need to be informed. When I decided to move, it was a splenic manifestor. It took 3 days, and I chose to move. By the third day, I had secured a new place that I had not even heard of. And so informing your core people, not going on social media and blasting, can really, because that can actually damage you as well, is key to inform those core people. They can then help you, and a manifestor's impact goes through other people. So they will be able to inform your network as well. When you come to a decision or call to action, communicate it with those who are affected by your decisions. So that is the way I describe if moving can actually impact you, as well as notifying friends. If a friend or your job. If you need to put in 2 weeks notice informing your job, manifestors have been known to just get up and be done and leave and not realize their impacts of people that care about them, not just work with them.
All right, thank you. We're going on to projectors. Now, projectors make up approximately 22% of the population and share a gift of guidance. They have this gift for really understanding others and are here to share their unique perspective. Their bird's eye view can offer wonderful guidance, and they tend to be more outwardly focused. Their focused and penetrating aura allows them to really connect to others, ask the right questions, and the ability to accurately read their, get a read on their, people that they're reading. The projector is identified by having no motor to the throat, and the sacral is not defined. They can have any other energy centers defined, including the throat. The throat just can't be connected to a motor. Otherwise, this would be a manifestor. Since they do not have the sacral defined, they do not have a fixed, dependable source of energy and should be mindful of their energetic exchanges. Now, my daughter is a projector, and one of the things is she constantly struggles with is work. She just, she's like, she gets burnt out so fast, and she just comes in like, she started working a 12-hour shift at one place, and she was just like, I can't do it. And they're not made to. That's not their energy type. They are not the Energizer Bunny. To do a 12-hour shift for a projector is torture. And that's something they need to be mindful of, is their own energy does not function like a manifestor or even a generator. They don't have that motor that gets them going like those other types would. Okay, so the strategy for a projector is to wait for the invitation. Because they have this ability to see into someone, it's kind of like think of it like a knife. They have the ability to insert their energy into someone, and sometimes it's very unwanted. So they have to wait for an invitation. Without that invitation, people tend to get offended and kind of just are not open to listening to anything they have to say, however correct they may be. So, their strategies, they have to wait for that, tongue twisted. They have to wait for that, invitation before they actually offer their advice and what they see and all of that. So their strategy is to wait for the invitation. They do have a beautiful gift of guidance, and it's important to share the energy with others who recognize and value their gifts. So like they want to be recognized. Every projector that I know, it's like I've got a few of them in my family, but every projector that I know, they want to be recognized. They want to, when they are invited to share, their insight into other people, they want someone to say, oh, you're right, and oh, I should have listened to you. They love to be recognized for what they are able to contribute to with helping all of us grow. And a lot of people, they don't want to, projector, if your people are not, valuing you, just wait, they will. And they'll come around eventually. So just be patient with them. Not everybody is as open, and they can't see things as clearly as you're able to. So just give them time, they'll come around. Okay, so now going into, where was I at? When shared by your own initiation, your guidance can be unwanted or perceived as superior. Success follows the projector who is mindful of this exchange. Waiting is not doing nothing. It's a time of reflection and filling your cup for when the time is right, when it comes along. Okay.
May I add to projectors one other thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Recognition, as Stephanie said, is very important for a projector. It's why bitterness is so difficult, because they're not recognized. Bitterness is the not self thing, but I don't think we're getting into that in these slides. I want to give an example. So if you're a musician and you go up on a stage in a busy city center and you start playing an instrument, whether it's absolutely beautiful, it could be, I mean, you could be a performer in an orchestra and be able to fiddle, and you could be Lindsay Sterling up there. And if you weren't invited, you're not going to feel recognized. Even if a couple people stop, that still isn't going to feel juicy for you. You won't feel the success, and you could become bitter due to lack of recognition. If you have been invited to an event venue, if you've been invited onto a stage, even in just a public center, if your friend invites you to perform, you have had some form of recognition. Somebody has seen you, has seen what you're good at, especially in regards to live performances. That recognition, don't be in front of people if you don't have that invitation and that recognition. No, saying no to invitations is so hard for projectors. I did a podcast a couple of years ago with a projector who actually teaches human design, and she asked her the question of if she like where her knows where she said no, and if it brought in more invitations, and she said she hadn't really said no to many, and she got to play with that, and that actually, yes, no's will provide more invitations and will provide the recognition. So telling no to yourself to get on that stage, or if somebody invites you and it just doesn't feel right, do say no. It will manifest the right invitation and the right people and the right recognition coming in. That was, oh, I do want to say one more thing for projectors. Projectors have, their aura is focused and absorbing. They can only focus on one person energetically at a time. If you're in a family and your child's a projector and you focus on your mom, the rest of the family will feel that, maybe not consciously. And if you are unable to get the love and attention you need, that can really impact you as a child, as a projector, as well as if you're in a relationship with a generator or anyone, if you're in a relationship with anyone, that you are taking in their energy and basically eating it, it's becoming you. And it may be difficult for those people that have experienced difficulty in relationships, abuse, or hardships to get out for projectors. And I always say this when I get to the subject anywhere, I invite you to say no in any area you need to. Reflectors, do you want me to take it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Reflectors is the rarest type. They're actually not an energy type. It says energy type. Reflectors and projectors are non-energy types. In relation to aura types, they are 100% an aura type. The reflector is the most rare aura type, making up less than 1% of people on the planet. Their essence is one that relates to their essence is one that relates the closest to our most ancient ancestors, who are close to nature and at flow with life's natural rhythms. They have a sampling aura, rub up against and kind of sample others' energy. And their gift is one of reflecting the other. They have a special gift of attunement to their environment and the ability to sense who is living their life authentically and who is a victim of their conditioning, who is living in the shadow and who is living in the gift. They can recognize this. They have the potential to achieve great wisdom and help society come into more peaceful ways of existing. They have the gift of being able to read and understand others easily. Reflectors are also resilient, talkative, and passionate. The reflector is identified as having no energy centers in their body graph defined. A reflector, you know you're a reflector when all 9 of your centers are not colored in. Reflectors only have hanging gates or open centers. So their strategy, all the types we've talked about till now have been solar types. The reflector is a lunar type. They're the only lunar type. So their strategy is the lunar cycle, waiting out a lunar cycle of the moon. The reflector strategy is a little more of a challenging one. Given the present state of society, reflectors are designed to feel out the decisions in life by allowing time for clarity through their lunar cycle. This is a way of being attuned to the different angles and options of their decisions in life. The lunar cycle would start when the invitation is given or the situation arises. This does not mean you need to wait 28 days before making all decisions, but for bigger decisions in life, give yourself time to feel things out. So reflectors are super rare, and I've had the gift of having somebody in human design actually living their purpose, and I've gotten to watch her path and process. And I just want to share with those of you curious about reflectors or that may be a reflector. It's been said you can do a journal for the lunar cycle and follow the track of the moon through your chart. Where the moon is, you're going to want to watch if you're a reflector in astrology and human design, and where it activates you. What that means is that if you have an open sacral center, the square right above the bottom square in the chart right there, the square in between the two triangles, the sacral center. So say you have an hanging gate activation. That means one of those channels going out, you have half of. So you have a hanging gate. So if you put your mouse over the top right one of the sacral center, Stephanie, for this, the center, yeah, that one right there. So let's say you have this gate activated. Above it is the G center, the identity center, and that is not that's not activated in your chart if you have a reflector because you only have hanging gates. So you'd want to watch when the moon activates you by going into the gate that is located in that G center right above it. So as the moon clicks into where you have an activation in a center like the sacral, it'll click and you'll have your identity center defined in a channel by the moon. That is what you're watching in the lunar cycle. What's really interesting to see is the patterns monthly. You're able to identify the patterns in life, in your friends' lives, and all around, and in your environment, in the world, even the news, if you're able to ground and really be present, you're able to see those patterns, and you actually can see how the moon impacts you in relation to that and everyone else. So if you're just hearing about this and you're a reflector, no matter when you're watching this, please know that the patterns of your entire life, you have patterns from your entire life from the lunar cycle up until this moment. And that is why you don't have to wait 28 days. If you're able to become conscious and aware of those patterns for you, and then you can actually feel them without even looking into where the moon is located at the present moment. And then you can identify them moving forward. My reflector friend, there's oftentimes I won't hear from her for our lunar cycle, and we by synchronicity and happenstance, we'll talk to each other after a lunar cycle on the same lunar day that we did before. It's really beautiful to see. Yeah, reflectors are similar to the manifestor aura type wise. The sampling aura is similar to the closed and repelling aura. It is different. It does not push things out of the way, but type wise, they are quite similar.
So now we're actually going to get into the authority. And this is our most powerful tool in making decisions. Okay. So if we look at everything as an energetic exchange, the essential to make good decisions on what we do. In human design, your authority is what helps you know what a yes or a no is. While society encourages you to make decisions made with the mind, human design asks you to look at your unique authority for clarity. This means that how we make decisions will vary for each individual. There is no one right way. So now we're going to get into the 7 types of authority. Now, the first one is the emotional authority.
Do you want me to start with this one this time? Or do you
Sure, if you want. I'm actually fighting off a cold, so I'm like I'm having to mute because of coffee. Yeah,
my energy center is like tired, but I got this.
All right, you're good.
So it's been a long day. Emotional authority. If your solar plexus is defined, you have emotional authority. We mentioned this earlier. You have a consistent emotional wave and that you are designed to ride. This is not to be seen as good or bad and is not within your control. It is not within your control. This is going to change without you, with or without you, always. The key to emotional authority is to give yourself time to be clear. If you commit to something on an emotional high or avoid it on an emotional low. Later, when your wave changes, you may regret your decision. During a low, you may turn away opportunities only to regret it later. Allow yourself time to wait for that natural sweet spot to commit to things. I've heard it. Stephanie, do you have emotional authority?
Yes, I do.
Do you want to touch on it for a minute?
Well, for me, I have to wait until something feels right. Of course, I'm a manifesting generator with emotional authority. So it's like I have to wait to respond for one, but for me, it's I'm waiting for that emotional response. That's my inner authority. So I'm waiting for something, like I'll feel an instant, yes, like all in my body, but I'll still wait a moment. I don't act right then and there. I still give it a little bit of time for me to really feel it out and without just responding strictly based on my high emotions. But also there's times that when my emotions are not so great and it's like I'm just not feeling that right now, and I don't want to, and I'll reject something, and then later it's like, oh man, I should have done that. you know so it's the emotional authority. You ride in this emotional wave constantly, and the key thing is to don't make decisions when you're emotionally high or emotionally low. You want to wait till it kind of balances out a bit at a more manageable level of emotion before you actually take and do your responding. So
I'm happy to do more until you, if you want.
if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Sacral authority. Yeah, sacral authority. If you do not have the solar plex defined, but you have the sacral defined, then you have sacral authority. With both of these, if your sacral is defined, you're also a generator. Sacral authority receives guidance through gut knowing. You may feel it in your gut, or sometimes you may have a verbal response such as uh-huh or eek, eh, when all communication, which all communicate a yes. The gut response, you can feel uh-huh. That is your yes. The sacral responds best to yes or no questions, such as asking, would you like pizza for dinner, instead of saying, what would you like for dinner? There's a joke that's been told about different types with different authorities going to a restaurant, and the generator has the server read the menu to them. Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? The generator type, the manifesting generator, is a little different. The splenic authority, well, actually, I want to say a little bit more about sacral authority. The sacral authority isn't just a gut hunch. I want to point out that depending what other aspects you have divined in your body graph, in your human design body graph, that it will impact your sacral. This goes for all types, no matter what your authority is as well. If you have ego authority, emotional authority, splenic authority, outer authority, all the different aspects in your chart, the holistic whole of the entire chart is what goes into your decision-making process. But that sacral center, that comes out when your entire body is in alignment. The splenic authority. This is the quietest of authorities. If you do not have the solar plex or the sacral defined, but you have the spleen defined, then you have splenic authority. The spleen is all about being in the moment. Existing existentially is key for splenic authority people, and not letting their emotions or other drives overwhelm them. This includes intuitive, instant hits in the moment. The more you can be aligned in personal awareness, the better read you can receive on what the spleen is saying. I'm going to read that again. The more you can be aligned in personal awareness, the better read you can receive on what the spleen is saying. As a splenic authority person, again, I will tell you the intuitive hunches are very quiet. And when they get clearer for you, I very much so doubted them. I could get the message not to go somewhere. This Sunday, I got the message intuitively not to go to church in a city that's an hour away, and started driving reluctantly because I wanted to go. I had an issue and had to turn around and go home, and did end up going. That splenic hint was right, and something manifested to prevent me. I still could have gone. It would have been dangerous. And then I came to a point where hours later, my spleen, my intuition was like, yeah, now we can go to Colorado Springs. And I was just, which is a town an hour away, which was baffling to me because it had said no earlier. The spleen only speaks once and it can actually change over time. This can be frustrating for your loved ones if you say yes to something and then an hour later it's a no, or vice versa. Ego authority. Ego authority is when the heart center is defined, but the solar plex, sacral, and spleen are not. Ego authority wants to make decisions according to a place of more self-awareness. This includes asking yourself questions like, do I have the will to do this? And what is in it for me? It is the matter of having the will to do something or not. The ego center itself, ego authority, is something that a lot of people will ask about. If you have somebody with ego authority in your life, it is not a very common authority at all. The ego center is about family and drive and love and want. The solar plex is more desire. So one of the things you can watch for if you have ego authority is, do you want something or do you desire something? Recognizing the difference for you and frequency can be actually really huge if you have the ego defined as well. Self-authority. So self-authority is something that projectors have. I believe they are the only design type that has self-authority. If you have self-authority, this means that the identity center is defined. However, the solar plex, sacral, spleen, and heart are not defined. You want to give yourself time to ask yourself questions. Saying or speaking these questions out loud will help you find your answer. To hear yourself will help you find your answer. Questions to ask are, will this give me self-expression? Does this feel like the right direction for me? Is this something that will make me feel happy? Think of it as you are checking in with your authentic self to make sure they are in alignment. What does it mirror back to you? If you share it with someone else, what does it mirror back to you? If you're just saying it in the mirror to yourself, what does it mirror back to you? As you speak it out, you may even notice a difference in the mannerisms in which you speak. That's huge for self-authority. The way you speak may change, your tone of voice, your facial structure, the way you feel, and the frequency and the way you speak. So actually trying to answer that question a few different times and really see what it feels like for you internally when you say it externally. You may feel more confident or reluctant, depending on what feels most aligned in that frequency. But you speak, notice what feels best for you. This is also an interesting aspect in self-authority because it's a projector authority. And for projectors with this, having somebody to invite you, if you have a friend that likes to just talk, or you have close friends that are really good at asking you good questions, making them aware that yourself is your authority and that it's easier for you, once invited, once chatting, inform them of this, that it will actually open huge doors for you to be able to know yourself better, especially since projectors require recognition. Mental environmental authority. This can also be referred to as no authority. It can also be referred to as outer authority, as can the self. This would mean the solar plex, the sacral, splenic center, heart center, and identity center are not defined. Since we know that undefined areas can magnify their environment, it is essential to be in the right environment when making a decision. This is a huge aspect of the G center, the identity center. The authority type, this authority type has a two-step process. The first is to be in a comfortable environment, and the second is to soundboard your reflections. This can be done through recording yourself, talking to yourself, or sharing with a trusted friend. This is, again, another projector authority, making sure you have recognition and that you're not, in the generic sense of manifestation, manifesting something that you're unsure of, that it creates disease for you. If, again, trusted friend is essential, not somebody just random. Through this process, you can then hear your truth and become clearer. If you do not feel like you're in a comfortable environment, give yourself time and wait until you are. That is very important. Mental projectors as well, they are able to speak to others and to know their truth through that. but also guide themselves in that way, recognizing that it changes based on what they share, what they think, what they're sharing as a person. Lunar authority. This would only apply to reflectors. This means that for any big decisions in life, you want to try to give yourself an entire moon cycle, or about 30 days, to feel various aspects out. For this authority, clarity comes with time. Allowing yourself to feel free to process things will be the most aligned. This does not mean every decision needs to be 30 days, rather that you want to give yourself permission to take your time to feel things out. The bigger the decision, the more time. There's a big difference between going to lunch with a friend and buying a new house. The big decisions and the little decisions.
And I just want to touch on something really quick on the splenic authority. I've had people ask me, how do they listen and how do they know if that yes or no, answer is. And one thing I've always told them was basically have someone ask you and either answer uh-huh or uh-uh. And that usually they'll get to feeling what's right or what's not right, what's a yes and what's a no. So if you've got the splenic and you don't quite understand how to connect to it to make a decision, just go into, have someone ask you and use that basically your splenic center and just and it'd be that grunt type thing, and only answer that way. And you'll feel the difference within yourself when you actually get a yes or if it's a no.
That is an interesting question I have heard often as well. I will also add to it, in short, um, when you know, one of the things, if you've heard the song Shivers by Ed Sheeran,
Yes.
goosebumps is huge for knowing, and all knowings, but especially splenic. And I asked the question for 2 to 3 years, how to hear my spleen in my process. And one of the things I noticed as I was watching my thoughts, not attaching to them, is I remember the first time I knew I heard it. I needed to use the restroom, and I thought I had turned to walk to the bathroom in my house and was like 2 or 3 steps in, and I thought I need to use the restroom. So I had that knowing three steps previously, and then it translated into my mind. And how do you know that? Your body's just gonna do it. Your body's just gonna take you, and as well as watching for that intuitive splenic, the spidey sense. It kind of can, if you can think of what a spidey sense would feel like, very much is like that. Embracing who you are. By understanding your energy type and strategy, you can take the first steps towards discovering who you authentically are and the gifts you share. Nothing can stand in between you and your purpose when you are your true self, when you're living as your true self. I invite you to contemplate this information. When we embrace our design, we plant seeds of courage. Through this information, we can discover our own uniqueness and turn our gaze inward to our true potential. As we were born into this world, our home environment, schooling, and society's programming often conditioned our expression by having us believe there is one size fits all approach. That is another reason for type in, be a manifestor. That is what the idea of manifestation really is something the society talks about. We all manifest when we follow our inner authority or our authority. At first, depending on your own childhood experiences, some of your chart may reflect more into the shadow side. Perhaps you are just beginning to explore your full potential. Human design is encouraged to be looked at as an experiment, to play with it, to try it as a game for yourself. What do you have to lose by trying it? Try it out by adjusting your mindset to the beginning to identify with some of these gifts. You never know what might happen and what you may have the potential for. Please know it's okay to make mistakes. Human design very much so speaks to not living in your not self. And I very much disagree with the negativity, the connotations of negativity. The not self would be the shadow self. And that is our greatest teacher. It is our greatest lesson. It's like a parent, but a parent that we let run around and control our lives instead of being like, oh, that's what you meant. Okay. And learning from it. The not self is not your enemy. So the shadow side is a gift for you to learn to get into. So this is some introspection and journaling. We're going to have the PDF shared. Stephanie?
Yeah, I was just going to say this is basically to help you connect to your type and understand your type and your authority and your strategy. Like I said, this is going to be shared so you can print it out and keep it in a notebook. And one thing I would like to say that if you are a Serious Joy club member or a subscriber to Serious Joy, they are starting their 40 days of truth and purpose starting tomorrow. Now, if you're already on a Serious Joy, if you want to look on in the lobby, they actually already have it listed kind of early. So you can log on and see that. So this is something that you may want to integrate with your 40 days of truth and purpose journaling as well. Yeah, these are just some of the questions that you can, really contemplate, look it up, and kind of work with it. And, when you're looking at your energy centers and everything, you can actually look at the shadow as well as the gift. So that way, you know what you're working with, and you can actually make note and kind of focus on each one and think of ways to improve if you're in that shadow, if you see a lot of that shadow. Okay, so then we've got, some more journaling. And this will be in the club, so you can print it out. And here's some of the links for Cassandra. And I do thank her for this amazing PDF. And I do thank Christina for helping me out here because I was, my voice, I'm starting to get a little bit of a cold and my sinus drainage is like, okay.
I have some of that going on too.
Yeah, I think everybody is right now.
We're all experiencing something health-wise, I believe, right now. It's huge.
We're detoxing. That's what it is.
If you are, I want to add to what you were saying about the 40 days to your purpose that Serious Joy is doing. This would be a great aspect, this PDF to use in relation to that. If you're a subscriber and you heard today's pep talk, Chris talks about the cipher used for the 40 days that he used, and this would be something really good to look at your shadow self and your gift self along with the cipher and the sentences you come up with for your purpose daily for the 40 days alongside, and really looking at the different aspects in your body graph. And when you get these answers from the cipher, looking at where they cross over from the gift of the center and the shadow of the center, and really look at where you are resonating as yourself or where you might be coming from a shadow self in relation to your purpose.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps everything up that we've, as far as the strategy, type, authority. This Friday, we're actually having Kelley come on, and she's actually going to focus a little bit more on the centers. So she's leading the study group this Friday. So it's going to be on the centers if you want to grab a notebook, paper, and take notes. And she goes more in depth with the energy centers. I, for one, am very excited for that. And then we have some other things going on in the study group this week. Let me get that pulled up.
I will also say while you're pulling that up that you are welcome to always ask questions. This is a study group, and so you're always welcome to ask questions in the chat. Wherever you're located, we'll do our best to get back to it. And it's usually we're trying to have at least 2 of us online at a time so we can address the questions that you have. So as we're going over different aspects in the future, if you have any questions to this, if you're watching in the future and not for the live, or if you were asking questions during the live, we should be able to address those for you as well during the study group.
Okay, so this is our calendar that we have posted in our group. We are also posting it in Serious Joy as well. Now, tomorrow we have the G-King contemplation. I'll get it out in a minute. And again, that's the 40 days of truth and purpose for Serious Joy. Wednesday, we have the Serious Joy study hall that happens every Wednesday. So if you are a subscriber or you're a new subscriber and you joined for the 30 days of My Truth and Purpose, be sure to check out their self-study hall on Wednesday. It is really great. And then we have Shelly coming in, doing an I Ching throwing of the coins, kind of like for an hour. She's doing a live Facebook for that. So if you're interested in the I Ching and want to know a little bit more, get a reading from her. So be sure to tune in on Wednesday for that.
If you don't know
Third,
what that is, by the way,
okay,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to throw it out there. So in the human design rave and how it relates to human design and why she would be doing this, in the human design body graph, when you look at the more advanced chart, it has the circle mandala with the zodiac, all 64 gates. And then the very outside of that, where your body graph's in the center and of that ring, each gate has a corresponding I Ching hexagram, which we went over previously last week if you check that video out. So the I Ching throwing of the coins is a reading that involves the I Ching coins, and she's actually able to read those and give you a reading in relation to what the coins show about you. So they're not just aspects in the human design chart. The I Ching system has been around a very long time. So that would be, I would be very excited to get one of these. So I hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, I'm excited on that one as well. Thursday, Cassandra will be back. She's going to do a 5-minute speed reads. And basically, it's a speed reading for your human design and gene keys. Now, she does require that you RSVP. There's a link in our event page for you to click on to actually put in your information. You have to click that you're going on the event, as well as when you fill out the form. So that's going to be posted tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I believe they're going to be pre-recorded. So it's the ones that have filled out that form and said they were going. I believe that she's going to be pre-recording that and posting it. But I will double check and be letting everybody know as soon as I find out. And again, Friday, we have the Human Design Study Group. Shelly's going to be hosting on, and we're going to be discussing the centers. And Namaste today, again, it's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's live on Facebook. So be sure to check out Christopher Whitaker during Namaste today. He's got some great videos. Last week is actually posted in our group. So if you wasn't able to make the live, you can actually watch the recorded version. And then Saturday, we have the Gene Key contemplation for Gene Key 28. So yeah, just stay tuned, and much more to come. And I do thank everyone for tuning in.
Thank you for checking us out. We'll try and be sure to put out updates as well besides the calendar, so that you can expect where to find us. For now, as we're just starting, we will probably share the link to the group. It's both Serious Joy and Human Design and Gene Key self-study for those events. So you should be able to open them around that time of the event and look for the live. If you don't know, for both groups, especially the Serious Joy group, there is a tab on the Facebook app underneath announcements that allows you to sort the posts, sorting them by most relevant, newest activity and new posts. If you come in at 5 for a 5 o'clock event and you select new posts, give it about 5 minutes to update, max of 5 minutes, and you should be able to see the post at the top. Again, you'd want to select new posts so that you can find it amongst the many posts.
Yes. Okay, and we will see you. It looks like it's going to be Wednesday with Shelly. So we'll see everybody Wednesday. I hope you tune in for Shelly's live event for the I Ching. And until then, I guess everyone have a good night.